California, Ms. Lee, and the member opposed. Each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, let me thank Congressman Polis, Blumenauer, Conyers, and Schrader, who have joined me in offering this amendment. Our amendment is very straightforward. It would trim Pentagon spending by a very modest 1%. The Congressional Budget Office estimates our amendment would result in a reduction of discretionary spending of $5.9 billion, and it does so while maintaining our national security and protecting our active duty military personnel. This defense appropriations bill is $28.1 billion more than the Pentagon's current funding level, which includes $5 billion more than the President's request for war spending in the overseas contingency account. In total, this bill includes over $85 billion in war spending at a time when the majority of the American people and a growing bipartisan group in Congress are calling for an expedited end of military activities in Afghanistan. Our amendment simply takes the total amount in the bill, reduces that amount by 1%, and then allows the Department of Defense to choose what accounts to take the reduction from. As I mentioned before, military personnel accounts and medical and health care programs are exempt from this amendment. Mr. Chairman, month after month, we have been talking about ways to address the budget and the impacts of the harmful sequester. The question before the body today is, how do we ensure that we have a budget that reflects our national security priorities, our moral values, and our underlying economic strength? I'm talking about a budget that protects the most vulnerable in our country and a budget that ensures that we have priorities to create jobs and turn this economy around. In other words, nation building in our own country. What this amendment does is say that we need to put everything on the table, and I mean everything, and that includes the Pentagon. Believe me, if I could, I would support much greater cuts to the Pentagon, but surely $5 billion can be found among the tens of billions of dollars lost each year at the Pentagon due to waste, fraud, and abuse. And you know that that $5 billion is a mere drop in the bucket when you look at what has been actually taken away without knowledge of where that money has gone. When you look at the cash, the suitcases filled with cash in Afghanistan and previously in Iraq. Even with this modest cut of 1%, the Pentagon-based budget would still far outpace any other nation in defense spending. The United States spends as much on its military as 13 countries combined, but all 3 of these are close allies. When you look at this, I'm talking about China, Russia, the United Kingdom, France, Japan, India, Saudi Arabia, Germany, of course Brazil, Italy, South Korea, Australia, Canada. Combined, we spend more than those countries. Finally, Americans believe that no federal agency should really be immune from cuts, including the Pentagon. In fact, the average American would pursue a much larger cut of over $93 billion, according to a poll released in 2012 by the Stimson Center. So it's long past overdue that we be honest with the American people and begin to have some real debate about deficit reduction, job creation, and the reduction of spending, and that includes the Pentagon. So I urge my colleagues to support this amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from California reserves. For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
This amendment.